This is the Media Police Post, broadcasting from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this show, we police the state of truth in the Republic. And because truth is communicated to us by journalists and analysts, we have made it our civic duty to put it to the test. We advance from two confirmed truths about the media. One, and according to Roger Stone, the media is either lazy or evil. And for the most part, it is both evil and lazy. That is why the truth, their truth, must be put to a test.
And two, that journalism is verified gossip. In fact, what is presented to us as news analysis is gossip that has been verified by journalists. This gossip has to be ground-truthed. We will assess the state of truth and what they submit to the Republic, and we will pass verdict on what is true and what is not. For the record, we are not journalists, we are thinkers. We are not lazy or evil, and we do not verify gossip. What we give you is the truth that sets you free.
On today's show, we will discuss ideas that reflect unformed and uninformed opinions, and ideas that made you feel stupid. Narratives that fell into the cognitive trap of we see things as we are, not as they are. Narratives based on conjecture history and those that smack of envelope journalism. Welcome GK and CS.
Asante. Diving right into it. In political lingua, the term horse trading is often used to refer to negotiations and deal-making. The term owes its origin to the notorious shrewdness of horse traders who bought and sold horses. Each side tried to get something more favorable to them. And because of the difficulties of being able to evaluate the merits of a horse, the business of horse trading offered great opportunities for dishonesty. Horse traders were therefore seen to be especially crafty or calculating. Now, President Abraham Lincoln, who liked to tell stories and anecdotes to get a message across, once told a story about two horse traders to a group of politicians who had been negotiating for long. The story he told was of two men, one old and one young, who had committed to engage in a horse trade on a particular market day. Now, in order to avoid either party being inconvenienced at the last minute, the one who chose to pull out or not show up would be fined $500. But for our sake, let's call this 50,000 shillings. And so the market day came. The first one to walk in was the older gentleman. He came accompanied by the sorriest horse ever to be seen in those parts. It was frail and emaciated. The old man, of course, being shrewd, wanted to get the best deal and at the least cost to him by eventually leaving with a better horse. After a short while, the younger man arrived at the market. On his shoulders, he was carrying a wooden seesaw horse. But the story did end there. The punchline was that on seeing the old man and his horse, the young man put down his wooden seesaw horse and he had the audacity to say, "Well, sir, this is the first time I've ever gotten the worst end of the deal in a horse trade." At this point, those hearing the story fell over in bouts of laughter. This story makes me think of William Ruto's current relationship with Goma. Let me explain how it relates to Gema and Ruto. Even if one is tempted to feel sorry for Ruto because he seems to be in an impossible predicament, in the story, the fine of 50,000 shillings represents 50% plus one in the elections. If Ruto does not pick a Gema running mate, this will cost him any chance of attaining anything close to 50% plus one. This will be the fine. Therefore, he must pick a Gema candidate at zero option. Otherwise, even the hope of becoming president will be overly ambitious. In the story, the old man represents Gema itself. The simple fact is, in order for the deal between Ruto and Gema to make sense, Gema need to give Ruto their best horse, and this means Ruto needs 90% of the Gema vote. Anything less will simply not quite cut it. However, Gema, being shrewd traders, will want what is best for them. And come the appointed hour on market day, which is the elections, Ruto will realize he has only secured a skinny horse. Ruto might even be lucky to get 28% of the Gema vote by market day at the rate at which he is losing his hold on the mountain. Meanwhile, Ruto's loss is Raila's gain. And make no mistake, Babaman is gaining ground. But we should not feel sorry for Ruto, because let us remember that there was another character in the story. Ruto is the young man who came to the market carrying a wooden seesaw horse. Ruto is lying to Gema with his handouts and church harambes. But the truth is, if Gema vote for him, they will realize too late that the promises Ruto is making are fake. The fake wooden seesaw horse is like the rocking chair. It will keep Ruto's followers busy and it will take them nowhere.
Yeah.
And just like the young man in the story, Ruto has come with a fake wooden horse, but now he is complaining that he is the one who's getting a bad deal. This is after giving Uhuru no peace to deliver, and now he has even started insulting other Gema leaders while making false promises to Gema people. And then he will wonder why Gema will abandon him on election day. This state of affairs reminds me of a quote attributed to Ugo Eze. They burned the bridges, then ask you why you do not visit.
Wow, like that. So for politicians, journalists, commentators and citizens, polling results have de facto become the principal representation of public opinion.
Indeed.
But we must interrogate them. Political opinion polls have the ability to inform, but also to misinform. None of this is conceptually new. It's the name of the game. Now, August 26, 2021, a poll by Radio Africa showed that DP Ruto had a clear lead in the race for the presidency. And Wycliffe Muga of The Star did well to point out two critical things. One, he told us that Kenya's political history suggests that being an early frontrunner in the presidential race will usually work against you. The pattern goes back to the first general election in 1992, where initially the clear favorite was Matiba. Now, two, the power of presidents in engineering or misengineering the political chessboard. He told us how Moi split the 60% opposition vote bloc between Kibaki and three new presidential candidates who had no chance of winning, but all the same possessed unshakable regional support. Sound familiar? So we can't help but wonder whether Uhuru is doing the same now with One Kenya Alliance to engineer a runoff. And then TIFA released a poll this weekend showing that as of November 2021, Ruto is still ahead, but his popularity has not significantly increased over the last 6 months. But to focus on the lead in isolation is misleading, especially if for the past 8 years, you're the only one who has been running in the race.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, some factors did emerge as interesting in the TIFA poll. That in a short time, Raila's rating has increased by 15%. And that there's a candidate called Undecided that has increased to 23%.
Yeah.
And it's in a tie with Raila as the most preferred presidential candidate. Now, this undecided group are the persuadables. They have fluid loyalties. They're important to the 2022 election because they are soft supporters and thus prone to defection through argument or messaging.
Yeah.
So as Hustlernomics is dismantled, is this the group that we will see shift? Now, Ruto's lead can be explained because he understood that the entirety of his political campaign is based on adding the persuadable Gema vote to his Kalenjin ethnic base of about 1.9 million. But herein lies his fragility. For Ruto to get his winning number, that 90% that Sias was telling us, he must add a bigger slice of this 5.6 million Gema vote than Raila would need to add to his traditional 44% vote race.
44% strong.
Strong. And so for the past 3 elections, like you said, Raila has had 44% strong, whether Mudavadi or Kalonzo are there or not. So Raila will only need a smaller piece of the Gema persuadables to attain his winning numbers. We have to read between the lines. Another interesting metric was on political party preference. So between UDA, Jubilee and ODM, the largest selected party preference was a party called None at 46%. So while Ruto shows a lead in one area, the other metrics lead us in another direction. Why is Ruto the most preferred presidential candidate, but his party isn't? We saw this with Trump's last election, where the perception of his popularity was bigger than his actual numbers. All in all, mine is just to say, there's an ever-increasing need to know what the people are thinking, even if it's just to oppress them more effectively. You've been warned.
Larger swing votes this time around.
Exactly.
So I'll be coming in from a little bit of left field today, and instead I will be interrogating the validity of Justin Muturi's claim as captured in the Standard's headline, today's headline, entitled Speaker Justin Muturi on Uhuru Raila's Secret Pact. In short, Muturi's statements are not the God-given truth. In fact, they are to be taken as seriously as his presidential campaign. According to the article's author, Jacob Getich, Muturi claims that President Uhuru Kenyatta told him thrice that he and Raila had agreed to retire from politics when his presidency ends. This means that according to Muturi, Raila will not be seeking office come 2022. But just how valid are his assertions? In order to assess the validity of these statements, we must look at two things. First, the context in which they were said, and second, the nature of the statements themselves. First, we cannot forget the context in which these allegations are made. This context will give meaning to Muturi's actions and words. And in the last 2 weeks, negative press coverage has surrounded the beleaguered speaker. 2 weeks ago, reports abounded that he would be impeached at the Jubilee NDC in 8 days. On Friday, TIFA released the results for an opinion poll on preferred presidential candidates, as GK has explored, and Muturi was noticeably absent. And just 2 days ago, top strategist for Muturi's presidential campaign quit abruptly. In essence, things have not been going well for the esteemed speaker. And in this context, his statements take on a mischief previously absent. Is it possible that Muturi is attempting to distract us from his negative press coverage? Or is he trying to reassert his closeness to the president that might no longer exist? If this is the case, how should we treat Muturi's allegations? What is the nature of these allegations? Are they truth or are they hearsay? Now, what Muturi provided was indeed hearsay. In the law of evidence, hearsay is the report of another person's words by a witness. Given that Muturi reported the president's words, what he provided was not evidence against a possible Raila candidacy. In fact, in the court of public opinion, the only things Muturi's words have proved is that he can speak, understand, and communicate in English. Nothing more. When the nature of Muturi's comments is taken together with the context in which they were said, it is clear that they lack validity and were designed with multiple political purposes in mind. First, to distract us from the ongoing mess within his camp, but second, to undercut Raila's well-earned moment and his rising support. Muturi seems to have forgotten that whatever agreement exists between the president and Baba does not override Raila's constitutional eligibility for the presidency, no matter how desperately Muturi might believe. And that even if Raila agreed to exit politics with President Kenyatta in 2022, Raila is allowed to change his mind, just as President Kenyatta did in 2013. What am I saying here? Altogether, Muturi's allegations are invalid. They are rumors. But this invalidity should not discount them from the record. Instead, they should be counted against him as a reminder that he, like all the rest he's criticizing, is playing a game. And he will do what he must to realize his interests.
I like that. So thank you for joining us on the Media Police Post. You've been put on notice. See you next Monday.
Bye.